Who is guiding this man from this vicious woman? 'Cause she is vicious. You know, it's all about her. She'll do whatever she can to get what she wants. And Harry? You know, whatever. I mean, he's not going to be someone that she's going to tread lightly around with the things she's doing. He's going to go under the bus as well. Yeah, I think, oh, I was Taft-Hartley, which is, I've pretended that I was Union, and you have to, it was a pilot called Century City with Hector Elizondo and, yes, Ioan Griffith. And I got there, and they were like, so you're Union? I'm like, of course I'm Union. Yeah, absolutely, I'm Union. And then I wasn't. And casting to this day, the Microsoft auditioning, whatever, I had a line. P-Diner, I was such a fraud, her words. And can you also see why this clip has upset people so much? Because it sort of proves that Meghan doesn't follow any rules. She doesn't give a damn about the rules. She will do anything to get ahead. And there's quite an evil manner. I was such a fraud. With those 5 words, Meghan Markle blew the lid off a carefully crafted image. Now the lies are catching up, and the world is finally watching. And there's quite an evil manner in her behavior. Now, again, I'm not suggesting the fact that she was fraudulent in terms of getting the SAG card is particularly significant. But when you think about all the... In a moment so startling, it nearly slipped beneath the radar. Meghan Markle dropped a confession that sent a ripple of disbelief across the internet. With an almost breezy nonchalance, she uttered the words, I was such a fraud. It wasn't a joke, nor a self-deprecating quip. It was a confession, raw, revealing, and frankly, explosive. I've been fraudulent about the reality of the births of her 2 children, for example. This is The former actress turned Duchess was reflecting on her pre-royal days. Back when she was clawing her way up the Hollywood ladder, she zeroed in on a pivotal moment from her time auditioning for the hit legal drama Suits, the show that launched her into celebrity orbit. But instead of recounting a tale of talent and tenacity, Meghan unveiled a very different narrative, one of deception. Say whose past behavior shows that she cannot be trusted. What did you make of this video? Yeah, I think... She admitted that to land the role that would define her career, she told a bald-faced lie. She claimed to be a member of the Actors Union when she wasn't. That lie, small as it may seem in the ruthless world of showbiz, was enough to get her in the door. She was later Taft-Hartley'd, a Hollywood term meaning she was granted union membership after the lie was caught, and she'd already booked the job. That she has, like she has it in her to not be upfront about the truth. I think it's very revealing in her mindset that even on a stage. Meghan proudly compared herself to Mike Ross, the slick-talking legal fraudster from Suits who conned his way into a top law firm without a law degree. I was the Mike Ross of auditioning, she said with a smile. It was a cheeky remark, maybe even intended to be clever, but to many it was a window into something deeper, something unsettling. Watching and listening to her, she could say that she was a fraud. Imagine what she can do to the world on a world stage. This wasn't just a one-off fib. To those who have followed Meghan's rise, this fraud confession was less about ambition and more about a pattern, a glimpse into how she operates behind the curtain. The pattern? Say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done. Facts and integrity, optional. Other things that she has done to give the perception of what she wants people to believe that she is like when that's not true, and even like around the pregnancies, this woman wants to show herself to be something that This wasn't just any job. It was Suits, the very show that catapulted Meghan from a struggling actress into a household name. Without it, there likely would have been no royal wedding, no global spotlight, no multi-million-dollar Spotify and Netflix deals. That seemingly small lie, it arguably changed the entire trajectory of her life. This is my truth. This is what I want to say. This is how it's going to be. And whatever she... Now, with Meghan rebranding herself yet again, this time as an author, a speaker, a truth-teller, this confession takes on a chilling new relevance. How much of the Meghan we see is carefully curated? How many of her interviews, memoir promises, and teary-eyed narratives are based in fact? And how much is fiction presented as truth? I've been to, if enable her way around it to make it like, it's a question the world is starting to ask because when someone who's built an empire on the idea of being real suddenly admits they were a fraud, even once, you can't help but wonder, where does the act end and the authenticity begin? That's what she's going to do. She's shown us this, and that's what you have to listen. Like when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Meghan has shown us the kind of person that she is. We need to believe her and understand there's been a lot of conniving and manipulation and fraud-like behavior with this woman since marrying into the royal family. Certainly, if she was doing it before she was in the royal family. Meghan Markle's confession of being a fraud may have shocked some, but for those who've closely followed her journey, it was less of a revelation and more of a confirmation that behind the polished image, the soft focus, it's clear to us, it's the kind of person she is. Well, that's the thing, because I just imagine her now sitting in the Montecito mansion, laughing about that lie about union membership. That was just the prologue. Since stepping into the royal spotlight, Meghan has seemingly taken the art of narrative manipulation to new heights. The glitz of Hollywood taught her how to play a role, but royalty that gave her a global stage. Manipulated moon bump pictures, which have been used on her mood board, and sort of cackling to herself. And one of the most glaring eyebrow-raising chapters in her royal saga is the story of her firstborn, Archie Harrison, Mountbatten Windsor. What should have been a moment of pure joy became one of the murkiest, most confusing royal births in modern history. What a fraud I am. And to me, it suggests that she does not give a damn about being honest in any aspect of her life. Right? And she doesn't? From day one, the Sussexes refused to play by the rules. No birth announcement in real time. Not even clarity on when or where Meghan gave birth. Instead, they crafted their own version of events, one that suspiciously unraveled as the public and press began to dig deeper. She's not being called out. She can get away with it. No one's going to question her. No one's going to need proof or to have her explain herself. I mean, just even like with that lawsuit where she lied about collaborating with them. Was Meghan ever pregnant at all? That's the question that exploded across social media and tabloids alike. Theories about moon bumps, prosthetic pregnancy bellies ran rampant. Others whispered about a secret surrogate, citing inconsistencies in Meghan's appearance, posture, and even the way she cradled her bump. Images were dissected frame by frame, experts weighed in, fans turned into detectives, and the palace, silent. Meghan and Harry, defensive. The truth, still unclear. It's going to question her. No one's going to need proof, or to have her explain herself. I mean, just even like with that lawsuit where she lied about collaborating with the Finding Freedom authors. She lied about that, got busted, that she was talking with the authors, and they just, with, what's it called when you lie under oath? Perjury. She got away with it. And so this woman, she gets away with everything. And I think, but why go to such lengths to hide a royal birth? That's the million-dollar question. Was it an attempt to protect privacy or control the narrative at all costs? Whatever the motive, one thing became obvious. Meghan wasn't just breaking tradition. She was rewriting the script entirely and casting herself as the misunderstood heroine at every turn. It is important that people like the royal family come and do what they need to do to call Meghan out. Yet the pattern didn't stop with Archie. Meghan's entire royal tenure has been marked by a string of inconsistent stories, shifting timelines, and strategic omissions. In her and Harry's bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey, she claimed she and Harry had a secret backyard wedding 3 days before their public royal ceremony, an assertion that was later debunked by the Archbishop of Canterbury himself. Then there were allegations of being silenced by the palace, denied mental health support, and targeted with racism, claims made without evidence, yet delivered with theatrical conviction. Because it doesn't get better, it gets worse. And this is why she continues to do it. Because she knows, no one's gonna say anything, no one's gonna call her out, it's her reality. And the press? Meghan portrayed them as relentless bullies, but in many cases, her own actions, like collaborating anonymously with authors or allegedly tipping off paparazzi, painted a very different picture. Victim or puppet master. The lines are blurred once again. All of this fuels the growing question, is Meghan Markle simply misunderstood? Or is she a master of manipulation who bends the truth to suit the image she wants to project? It's like she's laughing in front of the whole world, like that she can get away with things. But, I think at some point, it will catch up with her. Because when someone lies about something as sacred and intimate as the birth of their own child, or worse, weaponizes that story for sympathy and control, what won't they lie about? The web of inconsistencies is growing thicker, and the threads are starting to unravel. Meghan's fraud confession wasn't a standalone shocker. It was a puzzle piece, one that fits seamlessly into a larger, far more disturbing picture of deception, drama, and deliberate image crafting. You go for this for the first time the other day. The Daily Mail couched it in a Liz Joe. If Meghan Markle's royal life were a novel, the Finding Freedom scandal would be the chapter where the protagonist is caught red-handed, cornered by her contradictions. It wasn't just a misstep, it was a public unmasking, a moment that laid bare just how far Meghan and Harry were willing to go to script their fairy tale, even if it meant rewriting the truth. Terrible conspiracy theorists like P. Diner and Lady Colin Campbell and Dan Woodson talking about this terrible moon bump. How awful are they? But at the same time, when Finding Freedom hit shelves in 2020, it was billed as an unofficial biography, a deep dive into the Sussexes' romance, struggles within the monarchy, and eventual break from the firm. The book, authored by Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand, was gushingly sympathetic, so polished in its portrayal of Meghan and Harry that even casual readers suspected royal fingerprints on the pages. Naturally, speculation swirled. Had the Sussexes secretly contributed to the book? Helped shape the glowing narrative? When pressed, Meghan and Harry vehemently denied any involvement. No meetings, no briefings, no coordination, nothing. Clearly said, Meghan has a communications issue. She needs to go public and deal with these rumors. And of course, we know she's not going to go public because she cannot tell the truth, just like she could not tell the truth. But then came the receipts. Documents released during Meghan's high court battle with the Mail on Sunday revealed what many already suspected. Meghan had, in fact, fed information to the authors through a trusted aide. Emails confirmed it. The timeline matched. Her denials crumbled. The Duchess, who had so confidently declared herself uninvolved, had been exposed as playing puppet master from the shadows. We'll just take more advantage and make things worse. And who knows what she's got planned, and who knows what she's doing behind the scenes, now that could possibly have a say over the monarchy in a negative way. I think there might be. It was a devastating credibility blow, not just because she had lied, but because she had done so with such conviction, all while preaching about honesty, transparency, and being silenced. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't just bending the truth, she was actively manipulating it. This lie wasn't just an isolated fib to protect her image, it was a strategic move to control a narrative that benefited her and Harry. Finding Freedom wasn't merely a biography, it was a PR weapon, crafted to counteract negative press, settle scores, and portray the couple as modern martyrs banished by a cold and heartless monarchy. It seems like he's going to have control over a lot of things differently than his father. It was what I see. Yeah, I mean, without any doubt, there is a book being worked on, without any doubt. The issue, I think, P. Diner, though, is that... But here's the twist. It backfired. The moment the truth came out, the tide began to turn. Even supporters were forced to pause and ask, if she lied about this, what else isn't she telling us? It wasn't just dishonesty, it was hypocrisy. Meghan and Harry had claimed they wanted privacy. They stepped back from royal duties, they said, to escape the media circus. Yet here they were, secretly shaping a 350-page tell-all packed with personal details, grievances, and a very clear agenda, privacy or publicity disguised as a protest. Worse still, Meghan's easy denial of involvement and the media storm that followed reinforced a dangerous perception that she was a woman who would twist facts to suit her story, that she could, with the poise of a seasoned actress, play the part of the misunderstood victim while orchestrating her redemption arc behind the scenes. The biggest damage that the post-divorce book poses is no longer to the British royal family and the monarchy, but as to Prince Harry, because we can just say now. In the royal saga that is Meghan and Harry, there is one figure whose transformation has been both tragic and bewildering, Prince Harry. Once beloved as the fun-loving, duty-bound younger royal, the soldier, the philanthropist, the people's prince, Harry now finds himself cast in a far more troubling role, the man who lost himself in the shadow of Meghan Markle. Just so happily say now that Meghan's post-divorce book is going to be so full of bile, retribution, but fundamentally lies about the... To many, Harry is no longer the man he used to be. He's a ghost of his former self, speaking in pre-rehearsed sound bites, echoing grievances that seem foreign to the once jovial prince who joked with reporters and bonded with veterans. These days he appears weary, defensive, and, most notably, under Meghan's spell. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly, bit by bit, Harry has seemed to surrender pieces of himself, his identity, his family, his homeland, even his dignity. The signs were subtle at first, a change in tone, an unusually harsh interview, the cold distancing from his once close brother, Prince William. But as the Meghan machine gained momentum, Harry's transformation became impossible to ignore. Yeah, Harry is going to be the one that's going to take the brunt of all the things that Meghan is plotting, planning, what she's going to do, and he doesn't have the mental stability to deal with a woman like her. I mean, just look at the things she's already done to the poor man. I mean, he's weak. Insiders have long whispered that Meghan played into Harry's deepest vulnerabilities, his unresolved trauma over his mother's death, his mistrust of the press, and his aching need to protect those he loves. She positioned herself as the one person who understood him, who stood by him when the firm supposedly turned their backs. To Harry, she wasn't just a partner, she was a savior. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. While Harry has consistently insisted he is acting out of love and protection, many observers see a different reality, one in which he is being used, manipulated to further Meghan's agenda. He has been dragged into scandal after scandal, often parroting talking points that suspiciously align with Meghan's narratives. From the Scorched Earth Oprah interview to the deeply personal revelations in his memoir, Spare, Harry has laid his soul bare to a public that once adored him, but now watches in disbelief. Self, he's lost everything. This woman she's gonna keep going, and she doesn't care. Harry is going to be really in a bad... These weren't just honest confessions. They were explosive salvos, many of which damaged his own family more than they protected Meghan. And through it all, Meghan has remained eerily composed. She lets Harry take the hits. She stands behind him, nodding in support, while he burns bridges and tarnishes a legacy built over centuries. What's even more jarring is how she's curated her image so carefully, shifting seamlessly from victim to visionary, from Duchess to digital content creator to now author. Meghan's upcoming tell-all book is said to be raw, bold, and unfiltered, but at what cost? Will she again center her story by sacrificing Harry's already battered public image? Going, almost assault on us, our senses. You know, Meghan, here I am, look, here's me twerking, here's me at the Disneyland with Lily Bird, here's me with Harry. Because let's not forget, every time Meghan releases a new narrative, it's Harry who ends up on the front lines. It's Harry whose strained relationship with his father and brother is dissected. It's Harry whose mental health is questioned. It's Harry whose every move is scrutinized, while Meghan, often shielded behind a calculated wall of silence, watches the chaos unfold. This toxic dynamic where Harry absorbs the backlash while Meghan elevates her brand has led many to a chilling conclusion. The Duke of Sussex isn't just complicit, he's trapped. And now, with Meghan preparing to bear yet another layer of their private life to the world, the question looms, how much more can Harry take? Will this latest chapter, one that threatens to expose even deeper cracks, finally awaken him? Will he break free from the illusion, the manipulation, the narrative she's masterfully spun around them both? Or will he once again double down on loyalty, even as the world watches him unravel? Damn! Oh look, you can get some wine now. I mean, why this? I'm opening a hotel. Yeah, well, let's get on to that. Exactly. Let's get on to that in just a minute. But what? Why? Whatever happens next, one thing is clear. Prince Harry is no longer steering his own story. And as Meghan turns the pages of hers, the toll on Harry's soul, his reputation, his legacy, may be the most heartbreaking subplot of all. As the Meghan Markle saga barrels forward like a runaway train, it's become increasingly impossible to ignore the silent enablers standing on the platform, the British monarchy itself. While much of the public rage has focused squarely on Meghan and Harry, the deeper, more uncomfortable truth is that the royal family played a crucial role in shielding her. At times, even enabling the very lies they now seem desperate to distance themselves from. Now I'm talking about opening hotels and launching wine, that she is assailing us with this social media onslaught. Is that what it's about? Have you heard of the outlet Jezebel? It's very feminist. It's very... When Meghan Markle first stepped into the royal spotlight, she was hailed as a breath of fresh air, a biracial American actress who might modernize the monarchy. But behind the curtain, things weren't nearly so seamless. Rumors swirled, the stories didn't add up. Protocols were bent or flat-out ignored, and yet Buckingham Palace, known for its obsession with image control, remained suspiciously silent. He does these things around the divorce and saying all these lies. William, they're gonna need to come do an intervention and save this man. Is he? Take, for instance, the explosive mystery surrounding the birth of Archie Harrison, from the secrecy surrounding the delivery to the questionable refusal to use trusted royal physicians. The entire event played out like a badly written soap opera. And where was the royal response? Nowhere to be found. The palace, an institution known for addressing even the most minor breaches of protocol, chose to say nothing. Why? I'd say it's very left-leaning. They wrote a piece this week, and they have been, as far as I'm concerned, Meghan fangirls. And they wrote a piece this week absolutely destroying Meghan Markle about how she's stuck in 2016. Because the monarchy wasn't just managing a rogue duchess, they were in the middle of a reputational chess match. One wrong move, one public acknowledgement of internal chaos, and the entire House of Windsor risked crumbling under scrutiny. So instead of challenging Meghan's narrative, they protected it, hoping silence would keep the storm at bay. But instead of calm, that silence bred chaos. Ignore that he's probably crying out for help. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like maybe he is. Then there's other times I'm just like, but you did that BBC interview. Observers now believe this decision was more than just strategic, it was cowardly. By allowing Meghan's inconsistencies to go unchecked, the monarchy lent them a false sense of legitimacy. They handed her the pen and let her write the script, page by page, while the royal brand took hit after hit. The result? A narrative dominated by Meghan's voice and a growing public perception that the palace either didn't care or had something to hide. I can't believe she gave up being a princess there, like there's not a lot. Worse still, by turning a blind eye, the monarchy became complicit. Whether it was their refusal to clarify inconsistencies about Archie's birth, or their decision not to refute Meghan's more outlandish claims, like the now infamous accusation of royal racism during the Oprah interview, the institution seems paralyzed. And in that paralysis, Meghan found power. Stay away. And it's like, I just think he's lost. He doesn't know what to do. Who is guiding this? Now, as Meghan prepares to unleash her most personal, most revealing venture yet, a tell-all book set to rival any royal memoir ever written, the stakes have never been higher. If Finding Freedom was a polite whisper, this book is shaping up to be a full-throated scream, and the monarchy knows it. You gave up the opportunity to be a princess, to be this glorified Instagram binger. And they talked about the binging element, how it feels like she's, somebody finally said, sources suggest Meghan's book won't just be about her own life. It will drag dusty palace secrets into the sunlight. Secrets the royal family has spent decades trying to keep buried. The danger? This time, the world might be more willing to believe Meghan than the crown. So, what will the palace do? Will they finally fight fire with fire, correct the record, and expose Meghan's manipulations? Or will they cling to the same outdated strategy of dignified silence, even as their image burns to the ground? Do whatever she can to get what she wants. And Harry? Whatever. I mean, he's not going to be someone that she's going to tread lightly around. The clock is ticking. Meghan Markle's meticulously constructed empire of victimhood, glittering half-truths, and narrative control may finally be teetering on the edge of collapse. With her upcoming tell-all memoir poised to stir yet another storm, one question looms larger than ever. Will Meghan ever be held accountable for the chaos she's created? For years, Meghan has danced through controversy with a curious kind of immunity. She's been caught in lie after lie, from secret collaborations with authors she swore she never met, to explosive claims about royal cruelty that have since been quietly debunked. When he's going to go under the bus as well, So, it's all bad for Harry and his future. It doesn't look good, and especially, I think, all. The world is no longer as enchanted as it once was. The glitter has dulled. The interviews are starting to sound repetitive. The carefully curated Meghan narrative, that of the misunderstood Duchess, the silenced heroine fighting an archaic institution, has begun to unravel under the weight of too many contradictions. How long can she keep spinning? She's just so obsessed there needs to be an intervention, but also just how everything is so curated to the point that there's nothing authentic about it. And it's all just very fake and unfair. Already the cracks are showing. Public support is dwindling. Even once loyal fans now question her motives. The media, once eager to paint her as a modern-day Diana, is growing less forgiving. Hollywood is watching too. Studios and sponsors aren't blind to the swirling drama. Meghan's reputation, once her greatest weapon, is now her most volatile liability. And what about the institutions she once relied on? The monarchy has washed its hands off her. Hollywood's elite have grown quieter. Even streaming giants like Netflix and Spotify, once seen as her golden ticket, have begun backing away from the Sussex spectacle. This is no longer a story of royal rebellion. It's become a slow-motion implosion, and Meghan is standing at the epicenter. Why follow her? So I thought that was interesting. Hear me out, because you were around, and you saw this firsthand, along with the Rodney King stuff. When it comes to... Her upcoming book is supposed to be her magnum opus, her truth, laid bare. But in attempting to reclaim her voice, she may instead hand her critics the ammunition they've been waiting for. Every page will be dissected. Every claim will be fact-checked. And if her track record is anything to go by, this memoir could be the very thing that blows her credibility to pieces. Just think a moment of Meghan's character was revealed, and everything that had happened behind the scenes with Charlotte. It just was a moment where it just came out. And she just kind of looked her up and down, and just kind of had this look that seemed... From her first steps into the royal arena to her current role as Hollywood exile turned memoirist, Meghan Markle has wielded one tool more skillfully than any other, the power of victimhood. In every telling of her story, she emerges not as the antagonist, not even as the flawed protagonist, but as the tragic heroine, persecuted, misunderstood, and constantly under attack by faceless institutions and merciless media. Blading the media, but at the time, she was strategizing constantly. She had to get one up on King Charles, so she'd whisper in, "It's a carefully constructed persona, one that shields her from scrutiny while commanding public empathy." When she spoke of racism in the royal household, the world gasped. When she claimed she had been silenced, people listened. And when she broke down during the Oprah interview, lamenting her mental health and isolation, even hardened critics paused. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The victimhood script only works if it remains consistent. And for Meghan, the plot holes are starting to show. Lightly around with the things she's doing, he's gonna go under the bus as well, so it's all bad for Harry and his future. It doesn't look good. And especially, I think also for these children too, they're gonna grow up with a very nice... The cracks in her armor of victimhood have grown impossible to ignore. Meghan's tale of suffering clashes starkly with the stories of those who worked closely with her. For every tearful anecdote she shares, there's a royal aide with a counterpoint, a moment of humiliation, a cutting remark, a rule broken without apology, and it goes beyond the palace walls. Here, sometimes we actually saw her getting out of his car, but I think that Meghan thinks she is the... In the entertainment industry, Meghan has repeatedly positioned herself as the woman who had to fight for every opportunity, and who was undervalued and typecast. Yet she's also admitted to embellishing her union status to land roles, bending truths to open doors others fought for honestly. Once again, she casts herself as the scrappy outsider, clawing her way into success, while leaving out the calculated moves that helped her get there. I'm a mother, and that's not good. We already know from Lady C's upbringing how bad it was for her. Now, as Meghan prepares to once again take center stage in her forthcoming book, the public eye is sharper than ever. The emotional manipulation that once disarmed critics now sparks deeper questions. And the world is starting to ask, has Meghan truly been mistreated all this time, or has she become a master of playing the part? And she's trying to curate her own headlines, so she's overloading us, so that people like you and I can't sit here for 2 weeks and talk about the torquing video. The sympathy well is running dry, And when the tears dry up and the spotlight fades, Meghan may discover that the most dangerous consequence of weaponizing victimhood is being caught in your trap. And then I wasn't. And casting to this day, those casting directors will never hire me. I can't even remember what their names were. They told you. You told them you were. I told them I was Union. And they had to tap Hartley, which really is just like them sending. Her strategy is a familiar one in the land of lights and lenses. First, destroy the previous image. Tarnish the tiara, so to speak. Then, emerge from the ashes as a phoenix of growth, healing, and truth-telling. We've seen it with washed-up pop stars, embattled actors, even disgraced influencers. Only this time, the backdrop isn't a broken career. It's a broken royal fairy tale. Reports here that say it was, it was celebrated in the United States. Cringe, cringy. Those are the words I saw in headlines from Page 6, the New York Post, American headlines. The premise is simple. Confess just enough to appear vulnerable. Highlight your trauma to soften public perception, and package your pain as empowerment. Meghan will likely serve up personal anecdotes wrapped in buzzwords, resilience, mental health, toxic institutions, and frame her journey as one of overcoming unthinkable adversity. But here's the catch. Audiences aren't as gullible as they used to be. Ruth, of their How Do We Push It, Pete? I don't know how they came into the world, but if her memoir leans too heavily on recycled grievances, blaming the monarchy, crying racism without evidence, reshaping timelines to suit the story, the public may finally tune out. Instead of looking empowered, she may come off as bitter. Instead of sounding wise, she may sound rehearsed. Instead of being seen as a survivor, she may be seen as a brand, one clinging desperately to the same talking points. Because this time, Meghan's not just pitching her truth, she's selling a sequel, and Hollywood knows all too well. Sequels only work when the character has changed. Reaction, otherwise, yes, 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 yes. Tacky, cringy, as you say. Meghan Markle's journey, once heralded as a modern fairy tale, has unraveled into a masterclass in manipulation. From the red carpets of Hollywood to the halls of Buckingham Palace, her story is no longer one of resilience, but one of relentless reinvention, opportunism, and a web of half-truths. But it's very interesting because I think Spare was such a risk for Harry on so many levels. And actually, Alex Phillips revealed here not that long ago that Meghan in the writing process actually made sure that Harry incriminated himself. Her fraud confession wasn't a breakthrough. It was a breadcrumb, a carefully placed moment of false humility designed to humanize her just enough before launching into yet another self-authored chapter of victimhood and vindication. But this isn't a one-off slip-up. It's the latest thread in a tapestry woven with deception. Believe that she is under the impression that that went in her way, that was a huge success for her. I think that she thinks she's like Princess Diana and curating her own headlines. Behind the polished speeches and tearful interviews lies a calculated pattern. Distort the facts, weaponize sympathy, erase inconvenient truths, and reframe every critique as an attack. She's not just spinning a narrative, she's rewriting history in real time and demanding applause for it. But the applause is dying out. Passages of the span. Now she was responding specifically to the drug-taking allegations, but in my head. The public, once captivated by her underdog arc, has begun to see through the glittering veil, the inconsistencies, the contradictions, the endless contradictions. Her past is catching up to her, and her future is balancing on a knife's edge. The tell-all book she's preparing may not be the triumph she envisions. It could be the final push that sends her carefully curated persona toppling over the cliff. Down the twerking criticism. Now she's Mommy of the Year, But also, why do we get 30,000 posts for the daughter and one for the son? Because the truth is, when someone shows you who they are over and over again, it's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. Meghan has shown us exactly who she is. A woman who bends the truth to serve ambition, cloaks control and compassion, and trades authenticity for applause. And now the world is watching, not with admiration, but with suspicion. A vomit, like the Just Doll? To, hey, I think I sent you the pictures of Diane on similar rides, trying to recreate those moments, but I think that she does it so. Her legacy, once full of promise, now hangs in the balance, not because of the press, not because of the royals, but because of her own choices. And if there's any justice in the court of public opinion, it's this. When the lies finally outnumber the truths, the spotlight dims, the mask slips, and the world turns away. The question isn't whether Meghan will be held accountable, it's whether she'll still be standing when the curtain finally falls on her greatest performance yet. As Meghan Markle prepares to bear all in her tell-all book, it's not sympathy she's gaining, but scrutiny. From whispers of moon bumps to allegations of perjury, the layers of deception are stacking up fast. With a trail of contradictions behind her and a spotlight she can't control, Meghan's carefully curated narrative is cracking.